Pull your filter out right now and look past it. If the surface behind it is dark or wet or both, you are breathing what is growing on it every time the blower runs. Evaporator coils create the exact conditions fungi need: darkness, moisture, and organic dust. The timber industry solved this same problem 75 years ago with a compound that costs pennies. No one in residential heating, ventilation, and air conditioning adopted it, not because it failed, because the problem is more profitable than the cure. What I found in Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana changed everything. Last spring, I drove 3 hours south into the bayou to meet a retired shipyard pipe fitter who maintains 14 air conditioning units across rental properties he owns. Summer humidity in Terrebonne Parish exceeds 80% for months. The dew point sits above 75 degrees from May through October. This is one of the most punishing mold environments in the continental United States. And this man has not paid for a single mold-related service call in over a decade. He learned the method from his father-in-law, a marine mechanic who spent 30 years maintaining ventilation systems on offshore oil platforms in the Gulf of Mexico. Starting in the 1980s, that man used sodium tetraborate to prevent mold and corrosion inside ship air ducts. Same compound, same application, handed down quietly through tradesmen who actually work with these systems every day. It never reached the consumer. I pulled the filter housing on a 12-year-old Goodman air handler in one of his duplexes. The evaporator coil was spotless, no black growth, no slime. The drain pan beneath it showed a thin white mineral film and nothing else. I ran a handheld particle counter at the supply vent, and the spore count registered below 200 per cubic meter. That is cleaner than the outdoor air was that afternoon. Then I walked next door to an identical unit. Same brand, same age, zero treatment. I pulled the access panel and the smell hit before I saw anything. Black mold covered the evaporator coil fins. Biofilm coated the drain pan like wet paint. The supply register smelled like a flooded basement. The particle counter read above 3,000. Same climate, same equipment, same age. One unit treated once a year with a solution costing under $2. The other maintained on the standard schedule that every HVAC company in America recommends. His method takes 15 minutes. Dissolve 1 cup of borax in a gallon of warm water. Spray the evaporator coil, the drain pan, the inside of the air handler cabinet, and the first 3 feet of supply duct. Total cost per unit is less than $2. The compound in that spray bottle has been stopping mold on organic surfaces for longer than air conditioning has existed. The science behind it was understood centuries before the first compressor ever turned on. What I measured in Terrebonne Parish is not new, it is forgotten. And tracing how it got forgotten leads straight to the people who profit from your ignorance. Borax has protected organic materials from fungal decay for thousands of years. Around 500 BCE in ancient Greece, builders used borate compounds to preserve wood and textiles from rot. Centuries later, the explorer Marco Polo brought borax back from Mongolia. It had been used there for generations in preservation and glazing. The mineral traveled the Silk Road from dry lake beds in Tibet to markets across the ancient world. Every civilization that encountered it recognized the same property. Borates stop fungal growth on contact. The industrial age turned that ancient knowledge into a household commodity. In 1881, Aaron and Rosie Winters discovered massive borax deposits in Death Valley, California. By late 1883, William Tell Coleman had built the Harmony Borax Works and launched full-scale production. The famous 20 mule teams hauled borax through that desert for 6 years, over 20 million pounds in total. Each rig weighed 36.5 tons. 2 ore wagons and a 1,200-gallon water tank made up every train. By the early 1900s, borax sat on the shelf of every general store in America. Families used it for cleaning, pest control, and mold prevention without giving it a second thought. Modern laboratory science confirms what those civilizations already knew. Borax creates a pH of approximately 9.3 on any surface it contacts. That alkaline environment is hostile to mold. Research published in the Brazilian Journal of Oral Sciences confirmed borax solutions exhibit high antifungal activity even at low concentrations. Studies led by Chin and colleagues in 2007 and 2010 showed boron compounds suppress antioxidant enzymes inside fungal cells. Growth shuts down at the molecular level. A peer-reviewed analysis of all three major boron compounds confirmed they disrupt protein synthesis in fungal organisms. The mechanism is thoroughly understood. It has been for decades. The timber preservation industry proved this works at massive scale. In 1949, engineers in Australia and New Zealand conducted the first industrial borate treatments on wood. In the United States, boric acid was registered in 1948 for insect and fungal control. In Hawaii, borate treatment captured over 90% of the residential framing market. Thousands of treated homes stand across those islands today. Not one documented failure in service. 75 years of proven performance on wood and organic surfaces exposed to tropical humidity. Now think about what sits inside your air conditioner. Fiberglass insulation, paper-backed filters, cellulose dust coating the evaporator coil, organic materials sealed inside a dark, wet metal box. The timber industry has known for 3/4 of a century that borates stop mold on organic surfaces. The HVAC industry charges you when mold grows on those same materials. The science on borax as a fungicide is settled. So why doesn't your HVAC manufacturer tell you to spray a homemade mix inside your system? Part of it is the economics of the repair industry, but a major reason is equipment safety. Spraying water-based corrosive salts on aluminum fins and sensitive electronics voids warranties. The mold remediation service market in the United States was valued at $1.2 billion in 2024. That number is climbing fast. Industry projections place it at $2.5 billion by 2033. North America held 39% of the global remediation market in 2023. Nearly $500 million a year flows through American remediation companies alone. The average project costs a homeowner $2,364. When the mold is found inside a HVAC system, that price jumps 50% or more. Picture the truck pulling into your driveway. The crew steps out in white Tyvek suits and respirators. Heap of vacuums hum on the front lawn. Inside your house, plastic sheeting goes up over every doorway. That is a $1,000 per day operation to scrub away something that a $5 preventive spray would have stopped from ever appearing. 42% of commercial mold remediation cases begin inside HVAC systems. Once spores enter the ductwork, they spread fast. Contamination zones can grow by 400% within 48 hours. Every standard HVAC service visit includes a filter swap, a refrigerant check, and an electrical inspection. Not one includes a preventive antifungal treatment of the evaporator coil or drain pan. No major manufacturer recommends applying sodium tetraborate to interior surfaces. The omission spans the entire industry. It is not an accident. The Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, warns that HVAC systems need routine checks because mold in ventilation spreads throughout entire buildings. The EPA also flags drain pans as breeding grounds for mold and bacteria when they go neglected. Yet no federal guideline recommends the cheapest antifungal mineral on Earth as a preventive measure. The EPA acknowledges borax can be used for cleaning mold on non-porous surfaces. It also warns that mold inside an HVAC system is a complex issue that usually requires professional remediation to avoid spreading spores. The connection is obvious. The silence is worth billions. No federal regulations exist for airborne mold levels in the United States, no threshold limits, no maximum exposure standards. The regulatory vacuum is complete. Borax is recognized as a safer cleaning agent that prevents mold regrowth on surfaces, yet it holds no registered fungicide status from the EPA. Only 23% of countries worldwide even require professional certification for mold remediation work. The barrier to getting mold removed is high. The barrier to preventing it is invisible. Walk the floor of any HVAC industry trade show. Booth after booth selling UV germicidal light systems at $400 to $800 installed. Proprietary antimicrobial coil coatings at $200 per treatment. Subscription duct cleaning plans billed quarterly. Not a single booth in the entire convention hall selling a $4 box of sodium tetraborate. Not because it fails, because it works too well, costs too little, and generates zero recurring revenue. That gap between what works and what gets sold is not unique to HVAC. It shows up in every industry where the preventive solution is cheap, durable, and requires no specialist to apply. The profitable product is always the one that breaks down, wears off, or needs a trained technician to administer. A borax treatment dries on a surface and keeps working for months. There is no subscription model for that. There is no upsell, no follow-up visit, no reason for a sales rep to hand you a brochure at a trade show or for a manufacturer to print it on a maintenance card. The silence around the cheapest solution in the room is never random. It is structural. And once you see that pattern, you start noticing it everywhere. Now, if you do not own land, if you are not off-grid, if you are sitting in a suburban house or an apartment right now, stay with me, because what comes next works in any home, costs under $300, and requires zero permits in most jurisdictions. This part was built specifically for you. Here is the measurement I promised at the beginning, the one number that tells you whether mold is already growing inside your air conditioner right now. It is the relative humidity at your supply register while the system runs. Get a $12 digital hygrometer from any hardware store. Hold it 6 inches from a supply vent with the air conditioner running for 15 minutes. If that reading is above 60%, your evaporator coil is not dehumidifying properly. Moisture is building faster than it drains. The conditions for mold colonization already exist inside your air handler. The EPA recommends indoor humidity below 60%, ideally between 30 and 50. A supply register above 60 means mold is not a possibility, it is a near certainty. Your second check is visual. Pull the filter and aim a flashlight at the upstream face of the evaporator coil. Dark discoloration on the fins or slime in the drain pan confirms active growth. An HVAC technician charges $300 for a diagnostic visit. He performs these exact same 2 tests. You just did them for $12 and 5 minutes. Now here's how you stop it before your air conditioner blows it through every room of your house. You need 1 box of 20 Mule Team Borax at $4 to $5 from any grocery or hardware store, 1 clean 32-ounce spray bottle at $1 or $2, 1 gallon of warm water, rubber gloves and safety glasses, 1 old toothbrush or soft nylon brush. Total cost for a complete treatment of 1 residential system runs $5 to $8. Turn off your system at the thermostat and at the breaker. Wait 10 minutes for the evaporator coil to warm above the dew point so active condensation stops forming. Remove the air filter and open the access panel to the evaporator coil. On most residential air handlers, that means removing 2 to 4 screws. On window units, pull the front grille and filter. Dissolve 1 cup of borax in 1 gallon of warm water. Stir until fully dissolved. Pour the solution into the spray bottle. If your coil is accessible and dirty, it must be cleaned first. For prevention, a light fine mist of an approved borate solution can be applied, but flooding the coil with a homemade hot water mixture risks accelerating galvanic corrosion on the copper aluminum joints. Do not use a wire brush. Do not bend the aluminum fins. Spray the drain pan thoroughly. Spray the interior walls of the air handler cabinet, including any fiberglass insulation lining. Spray the first 2 to 3 feet of visible supply ductwork inside the plenum. Do not rinse. This is the most important step in the entire process. Borax leaves a residual alkaline film on every surface it touches. That film keeps inhibiting mold long after the liquid dries. It is the entire mechanism of long-term prevention. Rinsing removes the film and kills the protection. Let the system air dry with the access panel open for 30 to 60 minutes. Put in a new filter, restore power, and run the system. Apply this once every spring before cooling season. Late April or early May works in most climate zones. If you live along the Gulf Coast or anywhere in the deep southeast, apply twice a year, once in spring and once at midsummer. Reapply after any flooding event, drain pan overflow, or extended shutdown longer than 2 weeks in humid weather. 3 safety points you need to know. First, borax is low toxicity, but it is not food safe. Wear gloves during application and keep the powder away from children and pets. Second, confirm your condensate drain line is clear before you spray anything. Pour a cup of the solution into the drain pan and make sure it flows freely out the line. A blocked drain will not damage the system, but it will not remove condensation either. Third, apartment dwellers who cannot access the air handler should focus on keeping their return air grills clean and dry. Never spray liquid solutions blindly into return ducts, as this can inadvertently wet internal fiberglass insulation and create the exact moisture trap mold needs to thrive. It is not a full treatment. It is vastly better than doing nothing, and it costs under $2. What you end up with is an air conditioner that fights mold on its own. Alkaline pH across every organic surface the air touches. No biofilm in the drain pan. Cleaner air at every register in your home. Shorter compressor cycles because a clean evaporator coil maintains full heat transfer efficiency. Lower electricity bills. Fewer service calls. 0 remediation invoices. Roughly half the homes in America have damp conditions that promote mold growth. A $5 box of borax and 15 minutes of work once a year. The remediation industry charges $2,000 to remove what you could have prevented for the price of a fast food lunch. I want to know one thing from you. When was the last time you pulled the filter on your air handler and actually looked at the evaporator coil behind it? Tell me what you found, clean fins or black growth. And tell me what state you live in, because humidity changes everything and the treatment schedule depends on where you are. Your coil condition and your state. Put both in the comments. And don't forget, if you want to take your off-grid electrical game to the next level, my buddy Oliver over at Off Grid Ohms has got you covered. Go show him some love.